Hello and welcome to episode 1325 of The Sleeper and the Bust. It is Monday, July 29th, one day before the trade deadline. I'm your host, Paul Sporer, joined this afternoon by Justin Mason. Justin, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Neither of us have been traded. I make that
It's
joke
good to
every
know.
year. Yeah.
Hey, it wouldn't be the deadline time if you didn't make some
hmm
sort of reference to us possibly being traded to RotoWire or to some other
hmm
organization. And those are the jokes we live for. I like them. But the
Yeah.
deadline has been hot and heavy, and there was some real concerns that it wouldn't be. And I think they were valid under the premise of everyone's in it, quote unquote, everyone. So no one's going to make a move. Teams have been aggressive. Teams that are actually legitimately in it, Rays, we're looking at you, of course. Like they're very much in it. They're three out of the wild card, have been making major moves, but they're also not tearing down. That's the beauty of the Rays. And, I'm going to push back a little bit on, I know it's a little kitschy, a little cute now to kind of push back on the Rays. Oh, do we always have to fawn over this organization? I don't think we fawn over them unduly. Do they not just continue to make the best moves in the league? I understand the idea of like promoting something beyond its validity, right? Like, if we were still saying, I can't even think of a great example off the top of my head because I'm a moron, but I don't know. If we were still
Yep.
saying Trout was the best player, like he's not. He's very much not. You'd be kind of like pushing that one a little bit too far. He's still a great player when he's healthy, but obviously there's so many issues. Again, not a great analogy, but like I see this pushback, and it wasn't just one random tweet. I know sometimes a lot of us being just general people will take one tweet and say, everyone's saying this. I saw more than one tweet from people I like too, just being like, why do we always have to fall over ourselves loving on the Rays? I think it's because they keep making amazing moves. I really like this Isaac Paredes move, and that's even acknowledging all the flaws of Christopher Morel. But the reason they went and got him is because the dude can hit. And plain and simple, they don't quite believe in the long-term capability of Isaac Paredes to keep being a pull power guy without being all that powerful. He doesn't have great metrics. Now he's continued to do well again this year. I am kind of knocking him a little bit, but only within the context of he's at his peak right now. This is the best Isaac Paredes. Well, last year is probably the very best, and this year he's still just a cut below that. They think Morel can go way up. So that's what this move is about. So 1-to-1, I think the Rays probably would have done the deal, but of course they got prospects with it. They've overhauled. Where are you at on all this? I know I just kind of ranted and raved about it, but like where are you on the Rays these days? Do we as a baseball industry fawn over them too much for the moves they make, or do they keep earning it with savvy moves like the Jason Adam deal, which y'all talked about yesterday, with this Paredes deal? What do you think?
I mean, I think one of the things that Jason kind of threw, I think it was Jason that said it on the pod yesterday, that I didn't even realize. Like they've only missed or not been like an 80-win team like once in the last like 15 years or something like that. Like that just tells you how good of an organization it is. And like I know we hate it because from a fantasy perspective, like um we we hate like kind of the way they kind of manage in season and do
Mm-hmm.
things, and they get rid of guys that we love, and but like they always seem to bring back guys who turn out to be better than the guys they sent away. So like I get it. Like it works. Like as much as I don't love it. I'd love to see them be an organization that spends money, like and doesn't always just kind of petty pinch and things. Like it works. So like I don't understand any sort of hate towards it. Like yeah, I know it's frustrating probably as a fan to be like, hey, we're 2 games above 500 and we're selling.
But
But
are
like
they? But are they?
I mean, I think they
Are they
are.
tangibly worse today for their chances to make the playoffs? Are those chances tangibly worse than they were before the trades? Springs replaces Eflin. Morel replaces Paredes. Anybody off the street replaces Adam. I'm being tongue in cheek on that one, but replacing a reliever for 2 months, you know very well, is not difficult. Where are they worse? Tangibly.
I think they're worse in the rotation losing Eflin. I think a Eflin deal is the kind of the big hit. Like yeah, Springs is coming up, but this isn't a team that has been super deep in the rotation like they've been in recent years, and I think that they actually really needed Springs as kind of a bolster for this rotation rather than kind of trading him or trading away Eflin and kind of replacing him with Springs. As much as Springs has looked good in his minor league rehab assignments, he's still coming off of Tommy John,
Sure.
and guys struggle, with that. I mean, I don't think this is a teardown, but I definitely think this is maybe call it a reload as opposed to a rebuild. I do think
that's what I think it is, but I also think it's more like a reshuffle, even, which is like a lighter level of that. Because who's going to be surprised if they make a run?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but at the same time, I think that the chances that they make a run are much, much lower, especially in this division.
I just can't see that they're much, much lower. I can't see it because they got Rasmussen on the way right behind Springs. They've got Pepio recovering from the knee situation. So let's say that works out well. It might not, right? It's up in the air. But the way they're analyzing it then is Bradley, Boz, Springs, Rasmussen, Pepio. And if you're ranking them in order of quality, it's probably more Bradley, Pepio, Boz, Springs, Rasmussen, just because they're unknowns. But that's a pretty good rotation then. Now, Springs and Rasmussen need to come back and be something. I grant that. But I didn't even say Littell. So put in Littell for Rasmussen right now because he's further away. I don't know. I just don't see where they're really worse off than they were. Now, I didn't even mention Arozarena. Honestly, Morel could be Arozarena's replacement because you could make a case that he should be playing left field instead of third base anyway. And then, Caballero is not a one-to-one with Paredes offensively by any stretch of the imagination. But I think that Meade and Rosario can fill in that gap. I just don't see how this team is that much worse today than they were, which is a long shot either way because they weren't in a prime position. I don't think it's a teardown. And the prospects they got, they bolstered their system on these deals here. I thought they've had an amazing deadline. So I will fawn over the Rays because I think they did a great job.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand where you're coming from. I just think that they take incremental steps back at each spot. And while those can be overcome, I think when you make so many incremental steps back, it becomes a huge step back. Now it may end up not. Yeah, it may end up not. Curtis Meade is a former top prospect. I know he
still
hasn't
a top
done,
prospect.
Yeah,
he's not even post hype right now. He's in the midst of his prospect hypedom.
So I mean, if he comes to, they still have Junior Caminaro.
Yeah, he could totally replace Paredes.
So I mean, could they end up being totally fine and right in the thick of things? Absolutely. I'm not burying the Rays by any stretch of the imagination.
But that's why this makes sense because most teams, and I am a little. You're not hating on it, so I don't want to misframe where you're at here. But I'm really surprised you're not more into it, considering how long you've been asking your own team to do this.
Oh no, no! I want to be very clear. This is the correct move. I absolutely and I've been saying for weeks now, the Rays should be sellers at the deadline. They've got pieces that people want. They're a team that likes to make moves and turn things, over. And I think this is, and I felt like they were in a really bad spot in the division, especially, and the American League, because the American League is just so stacked.
Yeah.
That they could capitalize, hugely, and they have capitalized really, really big on these moves. But I think the disagreement is that they're doing this with the intention of continuing to compete this year. I think it's
not even so much that it's an intention. It's just more that they're just not that much worse. Their chances of making the playoffs have changed incrementally to the negative by the percentages, I bet. I guess we could see what it was on Friday, or before, whenever the Arozarena trade was, but I just don't see how they're much worse off.
And
so we disagree on the degree to which they are.
Yeah, different. I mean, I think they were probably a 20% chance of making the playoffs before, and now they're down to 15. So you're probably right in the grand scheme of things.
Very well done stuff by them. I'm eager to see if they can, channel Morel to be what he can, because, a lot of fantasy folks love what he can do at the dish too, and believe that there's way better than the guy that we've seen hitting a cool $199 right now. It's not because he's striking out a ton. That's the thing. If you told somebody who only knew of what Morel did from through last year and you said, oh, he's hitting 199 this year, their first thing would be like, oh, I guess his 32% strikeout rate ballooned even higher. It's actually down to 25. He has a 220 BABIP despite smacking the absolute piss out of the ball. Christopher Morel has been pretty hard luck this year. Maybe not defensively because he is dreadful defensively, but offensively he should be a way better player. So I like that move for them. Go ahead.
He's got a 242 xBA. If he had 242 average, we probably wouldn't be saying he was having a bad year. It'd be pretty stoked with 18 runs and 7.
How hard you go for somebody like Morel in an AL only?
I mean, it depends on whether or not...
Our next deal is going to throw some guys to the new leagues as well, so you can keep that into consideration, too.
I think Chisholm's obviously the guy you go the hardest after. But, I think Morel is probably number 2 right now.
Yeah, assuming needs fit, of course. If we're just going general needs, general best contributor, I think he's second as well, Christopher Morel. At least as far as coming to the American League. But one of our guys is also coming to the American League, and I'm very excited about that. Let's talk about this big 3-way deal that I think started taking place right as your chat was going this afternoon. So you had something to chew on. As if you didn't already have a bunch of trades that you were catching up on, you had a brand new one going. This big 3-way deal between the Dodgers, Cardinals, and White Sox. The big principal piece is we're not going to get into the prospects unless you got something to say about them. They're not fantasy relevant immediately. But it's Tommy Edman and Michael Kopech, so a Cardinal and a White Sox, going to the Dodgers. Tommy Pham from the White Sox, along with Erick Fedde, going to the Cards, and then Miguel Vargas and prospects going to the White Sox. And there may be other prospects going elsewhere, but that's the fantasy relevant portion here. Let's start with what the Dodgers got. Tommy Edman hasn't played this year. Obviously, they're expecting him to be back at some point to contribute, but he's also a longer-term piece too. So that even if things don't quite come together this year with the wrist and all that, they've still got him beyond that. But let's start with Edman in LA. What do you think, and does he make for a good stash for when he does come back, which, again, is going to take a little bit longer because I think he's in a rehab right now, right? Tommy Edman?
I believe he is. I was actually just checking.
Yeah.
But I believe he's on a rehab assignment.
But it's supposed to be a long one. Yeah, resuming rehab on Wednesday, and that was on July 22nd. So that was last week. So they said he resumed it on Wednesday. So Tommy Edman is on a rehab, working his way back. How do you like him as a Dodger?
Yeah, he's played for the last 5 days.
Okay. Is he playing the field yet? Can you see the position played?
I can't see the position played.
Okay. Because he was DHing for a while, and he might still be. So this is going to be, you're going to go up to 30 days on a rehab. Don't be surprised if Edman gets 3+ weeks. He's going to be down there working everything. So let's say late August. What can we get 6 weeks from 6 weeks of Edman as a Dodger?
I mean, it's like someone has asked me what role is he going to play in LA, and I said I think he's the better version of Chris Taylor, right?
Of course, absolutely.
I don't think he plays a specific position, but I think he plays every position for them, especially with how banged up they've been this season. But and I think it's just a really interesting, nice gamble by the Dodgers, a guy who can play everywhere, and is a plus offensive player as well. So I think he's going to be a super utility guy that plays every single day, just at a different position, depending on what they need on any given day. So I mean, I love the move for the Dodgers.
Anything left out of Kopech? I mean, no one's going to be surprised if the Dodgers turn him into a big reclamation project and channel some of that greatness. But that's a super long shot at this point, right? Or do you have hopes that it would be imminent?
I assume this is not the last move the Dodgers make for a relief pitcher. I mean, Evan Phillips has struggled, and they've moved kind of out of the ninth inning, and they're now moving in towards a committee of sorts with Daniel Hudson kind of leading it. But I assume that they're going to pick up another relief pitcher. So Michael Kopech, at least for this season, is just a middle relief arm. But if anybody can fix them, I'm sure it's the Dodgers. I'm sure they will. And I will just be fucking pissed that a guy that I really, really like, they'll probably turn him into an elite starter again.
Wouldn't even be surprised. Literally zero surprise. I'm not calling it, so I'm not going to be I called it when it happened. I'm just saying none of us will be surprised. It's not even a unique
No.
thought. We all know what the Dodgers can do. Nobody will be surprised. I do think that he's done
It's
starting, but I won't even blink
yeah.
if the Dodgers turn Kopech into a starter
I mean,
again.
yeah, I
And he's
think he's
good.
done starting. I think he's done starting too. I just know how good the Dodgers are
Yeah,
at
absolutely.
reclamation
They're
projects, and
insane. Let's talk about the
I hate
Cards.
them. Yeah. Mhm.
Let's talk about the Cards before you talk yourself into anger about the Dodgers. They get the old friend Tommy Pham coming back, so they get a right-handed power bat there, and they get Erick Fedde, who is such a Cardinals type pitcher, and you know
Yeah.
what I mean, right? Just like a really solid pitcher, but who can pitch a level above where he's at just because he's on the damn Cardinals. Although he's been doing that with the White Sox, so he'd just be maintaining his goodness this year. What do you think of this Fedde Pham situation? Let's start with Pham. Is he going to be an everyday player out there, or mostly short side with occasional starts against righties? What do you think of Pham as a card again?
Yeah, I think he's a short side platoon guy with the Cardinals. Obviously, like he could find himself playing more regularly if there's an injury, but I think at the moment, the way the team is currently constructed, he would be on the short side. But just a nice little pickup by the Cardinals. He's a guy who can come in and match lefties, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, as much as everybody hates Tommy Pham, teammates love Tommy Pham. So
Yeah,
um, and Jordan Westbrook just
saw
banking a
that.
double. Yeah. So,
Would have been a
but they're
homer in
gonna
like
gun him.
every
They're
other
gonna
park.
gun down the dude. Gun down Henderson or no Mountcastle.
That was Mountcastle. Yeah, I'm way ahead of you, so I
Yeah.
didn't want to spoil it for you. But yeah,
Okay.
they get thrown out there. Um, but yeah, I think Pham, they do have 3 lefties each of the next 2 weeks. So in deeper leagues where Pham is playable,
Mhm.
you get those lefties there. And the breakdown next week really works because it'll be 2 lefties in the front end. So you can play them for the Monday through
Yeah.
Thursday period in an NFBC situation and then sit them for the weekend because they weirdly, next week, the Cardinals only play Friday and Saturday and not Sunday. Huh?
Yeah. There's a bunch of teams off this Wednesday.
That's also kind of weird because Wednesday's not a usual
Yeah.
off day. But what's up with a Sunday off? I think another team had a Sunday off earlier this year, or like a Saturday, and it was random. And I can't remember what it was for. Maybe it was the Cardinals. I have no idea. But anyway, Erick Fedde going out there. Obviously, he has found a way to succeed with the White Sox. And what I mean by that isn't just his ratios, but he has 7 wins, right? You can say the win probability is going to go up because it will, but that doesn't mean he's necessarily going to get a lot more because he was already overachieving his win probability with the White Sox by getting 7 wins in 21 starts. What do you think of Fedde? Is he going to continue and be great with the Cards, or do you see some fall off? Where are you at on Fedde?
No, I think Fetty's going to be the guy that he's always been. If anything, he could be better on the Cardinals because I think it's a better team where you're going to get more win potential, and then two, it's a better park, right? So like I really like this move. This is a perfect move for the Cardinals. Someone in my
Yeah.
chat was like, "What are the Cardinals doing getting Erick Fedde?" And I said, "Like this is perfect because they've got a bunch of pitching prospects that are getting close to being ready." But not
Mm-hmm.
quite. You got another year of control on Fetty. Like this is kind of the perfect guy to like be a bridge to those guys in that Cardinals organization that might be ready
Exactly.
here
Because
in
they're
the
old.
next year or two. Yeah, like this is a great move for them, and they didn't give up too much to go out and get him. So yeah, no, I really like this deal. And kudos to you, who said it would be criminal if the White Sox didn't move Erick
They
Fedde.
had to.
They moved him. I think this is a really good deal for them. Getting Miguel Vargas back is just
Let's
an
talk about our
absolute
guy.
gem. Yeah.
Yes, Miguel Vargas is the primary fantasy piece right now that goes back again. They got prospects as well, Alexander Albertus and Jarrell Perez, as well as a player to be named later, or Cash. All of that is from the Dodgers. But Miguel Vargas is what we care about. And if you've been listening to this show for any amount of time, Justin and I love Miguel Vargas. Our, actually, I'm not sure exactly what nationality he is. Our Cuban version of Michael Bush. I just want to
Yeah.
make sure I had it right there. We loved Bush. Couldn't get the playing time with the Dodgers. Ends up going to Chicago as well, to the other team, of course, the Cubs, and blows up this year. Like he's been good. He hasn't been quite as good as he was at the very beginning of the year, but don't let that make you think that he's really fallen off. He still has a 122 OPS plus with 12 homers on the year. Michael Bush does in 100 games. Vargas will finally get the PT. He's had sporadic playing time over the last 3 years, adding up to 434 plate appearances. And I won't mince words. They haven't been great. This year it's been a little bit better with a 108 OPS plus in 80 plate appearances. But I hold none of this against him. This is a player I like with the skills. As a single sample, 434 plate appearances is small, let alone spread out over 3 seasons. I put very little merit into it, even if it had been really good. You still don't want to overrate 434 plate appearances, even if the guy's doing what you want him to do. But in this case, he's fallen a bit short, but I think Vargas has a chance to break out here and could be a second half star even, joining that White Sox lineup. He should play every day out there with the White Sox, yeah?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I would assume so. Like, what reason would they have to not play him every day? I mean,
Stupidity?
I mean, he no longer has rookie eligibility, so it's not like you're trying to hold back service time or anything like that. And I mean, you could play on this roster the way it's currently constructed. I would
a few cuts in.
I
You're
mean,
on the IL.
Right now, Roster Resource has him as the short side of a platoon.
Okay,
but that can't be right.
Well,
like that
with Benny,
I guess. Yeah, Benny or Gavin.
How much
Sheets,
does he have time left on his contract? I'd say trade him, but who's going to be interested?
Benintendi?
Oh God,
Benintendi's got a lot of
that deal
time
goes
left
forever, dude.
It was a 5-year deal,
and it was signed last year. I forgot. Yeah, there's 3 more years. He can't go anywhere. Okay, well, here's hoping that they don't make a mistake and only play Vargas on the short side. That would be insane.
I can't imagine they do. Like,
I'd be
as much as you and I both love, Gavin Sheets, like Gavin Sheets doesn't need to be a starter. And maybe they can find someone who will take on Eloy. I don't know. Like, the reports are they're not going to trade Robert.
Oh, okay. Well, you never know though. Like they'll say that and then boom, he's gone. But it sounds like they do want to keep him. Yeah. I'm not too worried. Let's just say Vargas should get some PT. Where do you stand on him for an AL only situation? Obviously, there's bigger guys out there, like you mentioned, Jazz, and then Morel and whatnot. But could Vargas be a decent consolation prize? Say you're a poor team in an AL only and you get Vargas on the cheap, then especially if Roster Resource has him not starting. By the way, D Young should be gone by tomorrow, and then he can just go play third, can't he? So we can get Vargas in the line.
Yeah,
where do you like him?
I mean, does Brooks Baldwin really need to play every day? I mean,
he's 24. I don't mind playing him, but get Vargas in there, come hell or high water. They're both 24 years old. Play both of them. Do you like him in AL only?
I was gonna say Brooks Baldwin is not like a top tier prospect. Miguel Vargas was at one point. So,
Agreed. If it's between those two, know I'm on Vargas.
Yeah. So
I agree with that.
So here's what I'll say about Vargas. I like Vargas, but the Michael Busch comparison is just about the team that he was playing on and was blocked during. They are not similar players at all. Miguel Vargas is a low ceiling but high floor prospect. He's a guy who's going to make a lot of contact and can accumulate. And this is why the playing time situation is so important for a guy like Miguel Vargas, because he doesn't have produce power. He doesn't have blazing speed, but he's got just a little bit of everything, and he's got a really good hit tool. But in order for that to translate into fantasy goodness, he needs to play every day, and Eflin just gave up his first home run. God damn it.
Who was that? Because the hair looks like Bo, and it's not Bo. Addison Barger.
Addison Barger.
107 exit velo. Okay.
Damn it. Okay.
Dude, popped
that was that. That was a no doubter from anyways, so to me, I would not go crazy on Miguel Vargas. He is not a guy that you should be breaking the bank for in an AL only. Or in any format, but he's a guy that if he's playing every day, he could rack up stats, but he's got to be playing every day. And, I mean, obviously Roster Resources is making their best guess. Nobody knows until we see lineups kind of go live, probably tomorrow, whether or not
most importantly, guys could just be gone to clear the path for Vargas, right? Absolutely. It takes one Paul DeYoung deal, right? Or anybody else. Lewis or a Robert deal comes together or something. So I'm not too worried about it. I'm going for Vargas. I like him. And I'm going for him in mixed leagues too. We talk about AL, NL only situations with guys moving. Vargas is available in a lot of mixed leagues. And if he plays, that is where I will key in on the playing time. And if it is short side platoon, and then of course it's not as interesting. But if he plays most of this week, I'm going to be going for Miguel Vargas even in the mixers. Now it is all righties, so we're going to get a glimpse of how they're going to use him. And if he plays four out of the 6 games, I'm going to be heartened enough by that to go after Vargas. What about this early morning deal with Texas? They're another team that's been kind of playing both sides of it, sell buy type situation. Because trading something like Michael Lorenzen doesn't mean that they're giving up if they think they can, fill in with somebody else without hurting their chances too much, but also getting the returns from KC. What do you think of Lorenzen going over to KC? I like that move a lot for them, just getting another guy who can eat up some innings of quality work. He has a 3.81 ERA, 1.28 WHIP this year. He's been nice. Home runs are his biggest issue. We know that can at least get cleaned up a little bit in KC for half of his games there. Do you like Lorenzen as a Royal?
Yeah, I mean, I like this move for Kansas. I also like it for Texas. Like, Texas is getting, they've already gotten Scherzer back. Tyler Mahle's on his way back. I think they're hoping they'll get DeGrom back at some point.
Yeah.
So, they just got Dane Dunning back. So, all of a sudden, Texas has a lot of depth that they're able to trade a guy like Lorenzen out of. So, it makes a lot of sense. I think the fact that they went and got, Carson Kelly is indicative of a team that isn't trying to sell, but more of a team that probably is going to move some pieces in and out and hope to see kind of what happens. I don't know how you sell, do a complete sell a year after winning the World Series.
Exactly.
They're moving pieces. All the main pieces are still intact from that.
Yeah.
So I think that, someone asked me, do you think they're going to move Kirby Yates? I'm like, I don't think so. I think they're going to hold on to those guys and kind of just kind of see
could
what
move
happens.
One other reliever, I think, whether it's Yates or Robertson. I can see that.
Robertson, I could see.
And that wouldn't create a bunch of turmoil that says, we're quitting. So yeah, I think they're definitely playing the middle there. I like Lorenzen and KC. The move, the guy coming back is Walter Pennington, who actually has hit the majors, so he's not some far away prospect, but probably organizational depth right now for the bullpen. Walter Pennington, a lefty. You mentioned Carson Kelly, again, deep leagues, 2-catcher. Do you like him behind Pham? Is it got to be AL only? Is it got to be 18-team mixer? Kelly hasn't been too bad with Detroit this year, but I think it goes back to more of the traditional once-a-week type as opposed to more of a traditional split with Rogers. What do you think of Kelly in Texas, Carson Kelly?
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I think he is just kind of a once-a-week guy unless something happens to Pham. If Pham gets hurt again, then Kelly would be the clear guy to step in the role. But unless something happens, he's really 12 catcher AL only, or sorry 12 team 2-catcher AL only. So
I think that's exactly right there, and that's exactly how I feel about Carson Kelly leaving my Tigers. Parks are not miracle workers, but they play a big role in your success or failures, without a doubt, right? And, we've heard outlier situations that we talk about, like Adames could not see in Tampa Bay, goes to Milwaukee, becomes a premier player. All sorts of different stuff. We know what effect coolers can have on things, et cetera, et cetera. Ty France is getting one of the biggest park moves you can possibly get. When he got DFA'd, we all knew he'd latch on somewhere. This is about as good as it gets. He's going from Seattle, the literal worst hitting park in baseball for righties, to Cincinnati, tied for the 3rd best behind Colorado, Kaufman, because of those sneaky everything else besides homers, Boston, and then Cincinnati tied at 104 with Boston. Do we like Ty France and maybe be rejuvenated here? Is there excitement with Ty France going to Cincinnati?
Probably not.
Okay.
I just don't know where he plays. I think he's infield depth. Maybe he works into a platoon where when Jake Fraley sits, Spencer Steer goes out to the outfield and he can play first base. But that's short side and not going to be super interesting outside of really, really deep leagues.
I think that's totally fair. I can't really make a huge push on Ty France right now. I am wishing him the best. He's a player I have liked. And he wasn't so bad this year. I was a little bit surprised by the DFA, except for the fact that, yes, 96 WRC plus on its face isn't the end of the world, right? He's just barely below average. You think, okay, I can maybe fix that. But he's getting it at first base. And you just need offense there. And he was not bringing it for them. Yeah, if he gets hot in Cincinnati, we can reassess, but I'm not even going to try to preemptively pick him up. If he gets
No.
hot and I miss out, then I miss out. But I am intrigued enough to at least keep tabs on it. But like you said, the PT just isn't there right now for France. This was an interesting challenge trade here. I like this. A couple of prospects, or at least former prospects. Well, no, they both are still prospects, but their hype has come down a little bit. Just a 1-for-1 challenge trade. Quinn Priester for Nick Yorke. Quinn Priester going to Boston. Nick Yorke going to Pittsburgh. I think Nick Yorke's prospect status is still higher than Quinn Priester's right now,
Yeah.
without a doubt. But it has also come down, as I understand it. Now, I saw some Red Sox fans talking up Nick Yorke like, oh my God, I can't believe we traded him. But a lot of the stuff I've read doesn't quite have that high on him. For example, on MLB Pipeline, he goes to be the 5th rated prospect for Pittsburgh. Like, that's not crazy. Now, Quinn Priester's not going to enter Boston prospect lists because I think he has expired. Actually, he
Yeah.
is still intact. What says the rookie status is still intact. So does he pop up on their list? Let me look. Let me see if they're listing him here. No, they're not. I don't know what the qualifications to be moved off at MLB are. I'm looking at BREF. They say his rookie status is still in check. He had 50 innings last year and 44. How can that be? No, that he cannot still be a rookie. I thought it was 50 innings, and he had 50 last year. It's 130
Yeah.
at bats
No,
or 50
he
innings.
shouldn't. He's not.
Yeah.
He shouldn't
Okay.
be.
So he's not
you know.
prospect list eligible, but he is still a prospect in that Quinn Priester has not fully blossomed. What did you think of this trade when you first saw it, Priester for Yorke?
I thought it was really interesting. Especially because the Pirates have not like really found a guy that can play second base. I guess. I don't know. I mean, they've got Nick Gonzalez is hurt.
He just went on the IL.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a while. They said it'll be measured in weeks, not days, or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, we had Nick Yorke as our 13th ranked prospect in the Boston system. And like he can hit. Like he's, I don't think he's a very good defender, and I think that's part of the issue is like defensively, like is he very Nick Solak-esque?
Oh my God. There's a name.
Which, like can be kind of a problem when like you don't have like a massive like carrying tool offensively, but you're just an overall really good hitter, but a poor defender. Like that can be a problem. I mean, he was hitting 310, 408, 490 with 6 home runs and 6 stolen bases in AAA, and he spent time in AA this year too. So like 10 homers, 14 steals between the two. Like I think this is a really nice trade, especially for Pittsburgh. I mean, I just think you're taking a gamble on a guy that has shown some offensive talent. And you're hoping he can find a defensive home somewhere. As far as like Quinn Priester goes, like he is just so hittable. Like we've seen big strikeout rates in the minor leagues, but in the majors, while he throws 97, like it's so straight that it's really, really hittable. And maybe Boston, Boston's got a really, really great pitching coach in Andrew Bailey. Yep. We've seen what they've done with their major league pitchers this year. So like, it's probably like kind of a win-win for both teams.
I like this. Like, I like this move.
We're, Pittsburgh's going to take a gamble on Nick Yorke, figuring out a defensive home. And Boston's like, hey, like we fix pitching. That's like what we're doing right now with Andrew Bailey.
Exactly.
So, like, I kind of like it for both teams, and I hope they both work out because they're both really fun prospects.
Yeah, I concur there. This Yorke for Priester situation, I think both teams could look back on this and be like, hey, we did pretty well here. It makes sense from both squads. One guy might emerge, but I see the reasoning for both teams here. And I don't think Red Sox fans, you might remember Nick Yorke being rated higher. He has come down from that. He is still a prospect with some viability, but you didn't give away like a top 30 overall prospect, which I think is what he was coming into like 2022. And I think some people are still hanging on to that a little bit. So
Fangraphs didn't have him as a top 100 guy. So
there you go. Like, and we're not the end all be all, but I don't think anybody did this year.
We are the end all be all.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm more honest about who we are, but you can be the company man.
No,
but we do great work. I love our work. I reference our lists all the time, but I didn't see anywhere where Nick Yorke was cracking top hundo. So he's solid. Priester can be solid too, though. Don't give up on, like, we still, as a baseball community, give up on guys like this way too quickly. 95 innings of terrible work is almost meaningless. It's almost meaningless in terms of drawing something from it. Now you can look at the pitch shapes and the skills and try to get some feeling of what those 95 innings are. But in terms of like, if Quinn Priester became a stud with Boston, you should be 0% surprised. He is still a blank canvas from that standpoint. All right, I'm doing some more refreshes here on trade rumors. Nothing else coming. We do have one more that came right before we started. Mariners getting some more batting. They get Justin Turner. Okay, that's like a healthier Ty France right now, but same kind of vibe of what that can offer. But I don't mind it because, again, France was not that far from being like what he could be expected to be, which is a low 100s WRC plus bat. Turner's a 109. So he's healthy France. That's how I see it. That's how they replaced him. Do you like Turner here with Seattle, and do you think you'd be picking him up in 15 teamers? Because he is available in some.
Yeah, like I'm trying to think of like this is, usually when we're talking about the downgrade, we say it's a diet version, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I mean, is this like the I don't know, like the plus version of Ty France? Like it's
kinda.
Justin Turner is just a better version of Ty France. He's aged like a fine wine
Beautifully.
Yeah, like he is just like Ty France. They clearly got a type. I really thought that they would go and get like one of the other first basemen that are available on the market. Josh Bell got waived today. Like I thought that could be, the answer for Seattle. But how waivers work is, gets first shot. And
could have been, yeah.
Standings. So, I mean, Josh Bell, will probably get claimed by a different team before the Mariners have a chance to get him. But like, I don't know, Cody Bellinger is probably on the table for a lot of teams. I'm surprised like that wasn't the answer for a guy or for a team like the Mariners. So it's a fine. Pop. Yeah, exactly.
And I think you'd want more pop because isn't he just Turner going to get eaten up by the park and just become Ty France-ish?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's my concern here. But he hits. That all Turner does is hit. He's hitting fine this year. It hasn't been special, but it's been fine. Again, 109 WRC plus, 9% better than league average. Great plate skills. Only 6 homers. Okay bat. I don't hate getting him because they probably gave up nothing of RJ Shrek. I'm unfamiliar with him, but I guarantee he's not a top prospect. So if he becomes anything, that means that Toronto turned him into something. So I don't mind it, but it doesn't really move the needle for me. And I will say, Turner not as available in 15s as I thought. So I am curious if you like him in 12s at all.
Probably not. I just don't think he's got enough pop.
Okay. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too.
Yeah. We just did our Mariners list over at Fangraphs. And
did Shrek appear?
He is listed, but I don't think he is.
Where was Donkey? Did Fiona make the list?
Like we do like a top 30 or top 40, and then we've got other prospects.
Right. In categories too. It'll be like defensive outfielder, power bat type stuff.
He's in the contact bats and extra outfielders.
There you go. Okay, so he's a classic 4th outfielder type, sounds like.
Yeah.
RJ
23-year-old left fielder from Vanderbilt who's having bat-to-ball success at Everett. His swing is tailored for the short porch there. So
that's what you're getting for a 40-year-old.
Yeah.
He's 39, but you get the point. That's fine. That's totally fine for Toronto. That's totally fine for Seattle. I like that deal. I hope he helps because I want Seattle to be good because they're fun with that pitching. They need more hitting. I don't know that Turner's the guy, but if they do sneak into the playoffs, don't be surprised if Turner is the guy in the playoffs because that dude just steps up in the big moments.
And all the reports are they're not done. Like this is,
and they shouldn't be.
Yeah. So,
they should be the Robert guys.
They
should be getting Robert.
I don't know if they'll go for Robert. Considering,
no, I don't think they will, but they should.
Yeah.
Because everybody should. They got Rosarena. So
and that's
actually I will pull back from that. I forgot they got a Rosarena. Yeah. I wanted them to get an outfielder with J-Rod out, but they got a Rosarena, and Robles is doing his best J-Rod imitation. And I'm only barely joking.
Yeah.
Like, do I think it's going to hold? No, of course not. But is he playing J-Rodian right now? Yes, he has a 191 WRC plus and 76 plate appearances.
They're the Mariners. They're the ones who should have went and got Jazz. Like they should have
Yes.
gotten Chaz, put him at second base,
Agreed.
and been like really, really happy with that. Like they need a second baseman so bad because I mean Polanco got hurt again last night.
Yeah.
But he's just been atrocious even when
Who else
healthy.
could they
like
get?
that's what I mean, like DeYoung, is that
DeYoung,
is
yeah,
that
that's
is that
exactly
the guy?
what I'm
Like
saying.
it's like
Put him at short and
pretty much
more at
putting
second.
pretty much putting DeYoung on every single team.
Yeah.
That we can.
Santander
like
bomb. God, he's so good.
Oh,
I know you
I'm
love
watching
Santander.
it right now. So
that's your guy, right?
Oh yeah. I don't have him anywhere this year.
Tony Taters, he's awesome, dude. I love that guy.
He's just so good.
It's a Rule 5 pick, by the way. He was with
I
Cleveland
didn't realize that.
back in 2016. Yeah, I remember he had a little flavor, a little prospect flair or whatever. So I knew the name when he moved to Baltimore, but I didn't think twice about it. Like, oh, he's going to become a power stud, and it took some time too. It's not like it was overnight that he was a G. He kind of started showing inkling in 19, but then you're like, oh, is he just hitting homers because everyone did? And then nothing really. 20 was good, but it was the short season. So how much could you put into that? Slid back in 21, but then 22, 23, 24. Santander, ages 27 to 27. We should have known in 2022. He was age 27. He was guaranteed to be good. I can't believe I missed that.
I got one for the Mariners.
Okay.
Now, I have not heard this guy's name mentioned at all.
We're starting the rumor.
Yeah, I'm going to start the rumor right here.
Okay.
But they need a middle infielder with pop, right? On a team that's selling pieces right now. The Rays are selling pieces, and Brandon Lau has got pop.
Ooh, there's some pop, dude.
And can play second base.
Yeah.
And like he's always like, not seeing a banana peel on the ground away from an injury. So like, why wouldn't the Rays want to unload him while he's hitting the ball hard right now? And like before he gets hurt again, like that, we should start that rumor. I mean,
I like that. Now there's some team control there too. So, the Mariners, now they'd have to give because he's 10.5, 11.5 the next 2 years team options. So you're in control of it at fair prices. So you have to give something, but I like that because I want them to get some power too. They need some guys who can leave the yard. I understand it's hard to leave the yard at Safeco, but they need some mashers. And Brandon Lau to Seattle would be a lot of fun. So I'm with you. I mean, let's get that started.
The other one, and like I don't know that they're necessarily looking to sell, but they should. Like Jonathan India was like the talk of like the trade rumors before the fantasy season.
The fantasy trade room. We were all trading him.
They're 5 games back of 500 right now. Like the Reds are not making the playoffs. Like they've got a lot of guys like that are log jammed around that that team. Like trading Jonathan India to Seattle, doesn't,
especially after getting France. I mean, France doesn't really play second anymore, but Steer would play second for those that
exactly.
Just in case you were gonna say, oh well, he doesn't play second. But yeah, you just put Steer there, and then you got that would be interesting because India's still a dude. Maybe not top of the scale dude, but he bounced back nicely this year. He's at a 115 WRC plus up from 99 last year and 96 the year before. So he's got some more juice right now. Those two teams are very comfortable with each other. The Luis Castillo deal. They've done other deals too, right? They did separate Winker and Castillo deals. They didn't go together, did they?
So. No, they didn't go together.
So yeah, those two organizations know each other, and I'm curious if there could be something to that. That'd be fun. But either way,
or Brendan Rodgers.
Well, that's in the fantasy world where the Rockies know that the trade deadline is even tomorrow. I'm not entirely sure that they know that, or even what the trade deadline is. I'm not 100% certain that they know that. But in this fictional world that you've created, not poor Rockies, no. You do this to yourself.
Fans.
Sorry. I was too quick to jump on you there.
I do too. Fans.
I do too, because kick-ass park, amazing gear, because I love the purple. I like the City Connects too. When I first saw them, I didn't like them, but then when I saw them on the field, like they're the Colorado license plate, and I vibe with those too. But they just wasted, and they have a lot of talent at any given moment. Like talent ebbs and flows through the organization, but they do cultivate at least great hitting talent. They just have the most treacherous, wretched front office that never brings anything together. And obviously, it's hard to succeed there. I'm not saying that they would be exponentially more successful with a better front office, but they make a lot of unforced errors, including never fucking participating in the deadline for some reason. This is a hot market right now. If you were to dangle Brendan Rodgers, because I don't know what else is left at the middle infield. The only guy that's like truly available that we've talked about was DeYoung. And every team can't get him, and he's not even that good. Like, he's a solid player. He's a real major leaguer. I'm not trying to clown on him for no reason, catching strays. But like, you dangle a Brendan Rodgers, and that you don't even like him, and you know that that would be a valuable piece that they could dangle out there. So yeah, they just piss me off every year. When they wouldn't trade John Gray, when they didn't trade Trevor Story, they just Daniel Bard when he had like a breakout year at age 100.
70.
Yeah. So I don't understand them. They get what they deserve, but the fans, I agree with you. I feel for them. All right. I've refreshed 100 times. Nothing else going right now. What are your final words before we get out of here?
Yeah, the only other one, though, again, this team doesn't know what the trade deadline is either, but I mean, the Giants should try to cash in on Barry Bonds Jr. in Fitzgerald.
Fitzgerald. What do you think about that guy?
I think this is just a crazy run. Like the underlying skills they're terrible. Like they're like through this hot streak. So you had 8 home runs in 10 games. And got hits in the other games that he didn't have home runs in. His zone contact was like 77% during that stretch. So like he's still not even making close to league average contact. It's just unreal. Like when he makes contact, the ball went far. Like this is if he hits another 5 home runs the rest of the season, I will be shocked.
I'll be floored. I couldn't agree more. I will say the main event bids on Tyler Fitzgerald were within reason. It seemed like everyone kind of knew. Like they were still.
One of my leagues, he went for like $150.
Yes, there were 4 leagues where he went over 100. You couldn't get me to triple digits to save my life. Frankly, it was like a 60 and under type of vibe for me, and that is where the vast majority of them went. And again, I'm not here to chastise anybody that paid over. I don't know everyone's situation. If you got money to waste and you just needed him, totally get it. And I make, clown ass waiver moves all the time. So I'm not throwing stones at anybody. And it was funny. I did see one where they picked up Tyler Fitzgerald and cut Rhys Hines. And I just thought that was really poetic because you were just getting rid of one version of one guy to get the exact same guy, which you also already missed the hot streak.
Right?
Yeah,
it's the office.
Exactly.
It's the same picture.
It's the same picture because that's exactly what this is, but with less power. Rhys Hines is actually a power guy. The comp for him really is Aristides Aquino. Like those were both guys who have a ton of power. Fitzgerald, I don't think he has any tangible power. No, that's the craziest part about this run.
It's just an unreal run. Like, I mean, that's all it is. Like,
and good for him.
Like this is like proof of like, and Cedric Mullins made a fucking nice play too.
That was awesome.
This is the epitome of like when we talk about like like when we're like shit talking about a player or something like that, and we say something along the lines of like we call him terrible, but then we're also like, no, he's got to be really good just to make it to the majors.
Exactly.
Every player in the majors is a really good player.
Is a brilliant baseball player. Yes.
But comparatively speaking to other baseball players, Tyler Fitzgerald is just not really that good. He's just on an unreal tear. I hope he's enjoying the hell out of it.
Yes.
Because I have, like, my wife goes crazy. Like,
it's awesome. Like, this is what sports are about, stories like this, right? Everyone can understand that he's not going to keep it up, and nobody cares because why? Why focus on that? Enjoy it while it's going. I hope he does another great week. Because it was really, really fun to watch. So go Tyler Fitzgerald, and we'll see what happens with him. We'll see what happens with the deadline. Nick and I are doing a show tomorrow. We will be on playback.tv. If you're going to be around, we might want to bring you in.
I will jump in like during the time. I do have
that's good.
At, like 6:30, so I can't like hang out.
Because he's got the thing where he can pull people in. He could bring you right on stage to hang with us, so we can do stuff.
Well, what time you guys start? Are you guys like starting like at a certain time?
Not terribly early. I think it's going to be 3:30 Central.
Okay.
Let's see. Hang on, there is a tweet for it. 3 Central, 4 Eastern. 3 Central, 4 Eastern on playback.tv/pitcher list. We'll be there. We'll be talking stuff. He's actually going to be in Texas, not with me though. I think he'll be in San Antonio tomorrow, and then we're going to be linking up later in the week.
Is he doing like a world tour? Because he's coming to San Francisco.
I guess so.
At the end of August, so
it's the Nick Pollock World Tour.
Apparently, so we're all getting together at a Giants game. Thankfully, the Giants are playing the Marlins. So because last time
it'll be easy.
Yeah, well, none of us actually watched any of the game. We were all just sitting around bullshitting. Because I mean, it's me and Sammy Reed and Doug Thorburn and Eno and
it's chat time.
It's none of us are watching the game. We're all just talking and stuff and hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
So at least it's a crappy team that they're playing, so we don't have to worry about watching.
You won't miss anything really. You won't know half the players on the Marlins by then probably.
But yeah, I would be shocked. I keep looking at the Marlins roster, wondering hey, who's the next guy they're gonna trade? And I'm I don't even know at this point.
They don't have Tanner Scott is the obvious one that has to
a
little bit. As far as the offense, they actually don't have obvious guys.
Even the rotation, look at the rotation, and all of their oldest pitcher is Trevor Rogers, and he's 26.
So maybe Rogers, maybe you trade Rogers, but why?
Oh no,
I don't even know that they need to.
Is Kyle Tyler a real guy?
Kyler Tyler? No. Come on.
I guess he's 27, but I don't even know who that is.
Well, they just said, okay, just make up a guy with the two most popular names from that era, Kyle and Tyler, and just call him that, Kyle Tyler.
I don't want to give it away because we're gonna do a special podcast later this week, and I'm thinking I may bring a reliever versus congressman, so I don't want to dig too deep into.
Got to be done, and also include that other guy, the guy who actually the both, because they might not know that.
Yeah,
I don't know who I'm talking to. Okay, we have to go before I give anything away. We'll be back. Was it Wednesday or Thursday that we're doing that? By the way, I forget what we said.
I believe Thursday, early evening for you, late afternoon for me. Yeah.
Okie dokie. So. But we will have a special episode going over everything with the trades from here till through the end of it. Implications, maybe some sneaky guys that are going to benefit from it. We'll have it all. Otherwise, tomorrow, playback.tv/pitcher list. Tuesday, if you're listening to this on Tuesday, 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern, Nick Pollock and I will be talking. We'll be bringing people on, going through the deadline. So trade bonanza the next couple days. Justin, have a good one. Talk to you soon.
Take it easy.